Not much. I don't go much.
Okay, but if you go out here and you talk to any old people and stuff like that,
Yeah.
almost all of them, they don't right after dark driving around anymore. They're afraid of the deputies.
I know they're afraid.
I don't know if you're, in our law, they don't prosecute people, and if they do, they prosecute the poor in this county, don't they?
Yep, that's exactly. Now they arrested, actually physically arrested me for a speeding ticket.
Right.
And I can understand why the older people are afraid to be on the road, because they've got these guys out here that are not being supervised properly.
Right.
They're messing with people and all that, you know.
Well, you know what? I told Jerry, I'd say admit I was speeding, saying in your motion, I had my wife in my car and I didn't want to wait by the deputy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good statement. Well, now, did they indict? What is Mike Wolf?
Yeah, Michael.
Did they? I heard that he was fired. Have you heard anything?
No, I haven't talked.
Well, I heard that Dave Kaplinger's been relieved of all duties.
Oh, yeah.
He'll still get paid, of course, but
right.
Now, if they do that to the top man, are they going to do that with the other people? Or are they just going to keep working?
Of course not. But like all them people that are pretty well listed and everything like that. Now, Michael hasn't been working for the state now for over a year.
Oh, okay.
He quit and he went to work in that trust fund over there. Well, I tell you, it's been 2 years since he's worked up there because he worked over there in the restaurant.
Well, this goes back to 2010, right?
No, it goes back to 2000. What they indicted him on, Aggie, or Augie, or how do you pronounce the police, Aggie?
Yeah, Aggie.
Aggie? Okay, Aggie. He only goes back to 2008.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it was just quiet then, but you know, that little old newspaper, what do they call that? The Pocahontas commentator got to raising about it, and people started looking, didn't they?
Right.
Here's the funny thing. This whole thing may have been finally busted open by a lost spear joint. You went with me over there to look for that thing.
Yeah, you remember we found it too.
Yeah.
Down there, up above. That was my brother's house down there at Deer Creek. That's the reason like in all that great old big pieces of that asbestos, insulation, fiberglass insulation, we blow clear over in his, right there along beside of his house, and you'd have to wait and pick it up and everything like that. And that was the town, the state park, littering other people's property.
Oh, it was. What I couldn't imagine was that the state of West Virginia actually created a dump right beside the railroad. You know, the old railroad track. What were they thinking?
Forget the old railroad track. Remember, it's right beside the Greenbrier River, and you saw the ditches.
Oh, yeah.
And you had pictures of the ditches that they dug over to drain the water out from in under that stuff right over into the Greenbrier.
Yeah, there'd been a lot of digging down in there.
Oh, do you remember the big ditches we had to go across?
Yeah, I remember.
I think he got some. You know what? You want to make sure that you had those DVDs that you got that stuff on it.
Oh, I've been trying to repost them, Charlotte, and put them back up there so people can remember it. I'm going to look at all of it, you know. And then I think about that. I think about that deal that MEC was going to put. Was going to put those 6 sewer pits right there in Greenbank. This man don't even know the law, apparently, about scrap steel, so it was just a catastrophe waiting to happen, you know. MEC shouldn't have been involved with that metal. And remember the day we were out there and he blocked me in?
Right.
And remember that I told him that I told him that he was supposed to report that stuff to the sheriff.
Right.
Well, he wasn't reporting any of it. I don't imagine what he was doing, getting him a piece of paper where from Mike and them or whoever was there saying that they had authority to do it, but he was still supposed to report it. So,
but not only that, he already knew where they were, that they were hauling that stuff over there. And you know what? He transported all of his out too.
yeah, and he sold it.
Right.
He was, in other words, it's a certain fact that they were selling government property. They were reselling it.
Right.
Yes, he may have a receipt showing he bought it, but he has to show that he knew where it came from. Why didn't he call up the state park and say, look, there's some railroad wheels over here. Do you all know if a railroad is missing a wheel? You know? Well, what do you think will come of this?
Nothing. All that I do. I think, like people like Michael and Rex Castle and some of the workers over there might even get time for this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, but when it comes to Kaplinger, Martell, and all the rest of them, I don't think they'll do anything with them. Not only that, Norman, you keep forgetting. The people down in Charleston would have known that they were doing this.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of how many miles of track that they tore up? How did they get rid of all that track?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's been going on for years. Oh, now what did they do with it down in Marlington? What did they do with that railroad steel?
75 miles of it.
What did they do with it, Norman?
That's a good point.
Who got the money for it?
Somebody got rich.
Right.
And then nowadays, railroad steel particularly is what, double or triple the price of regular steel, I guess. It's the special stuff. And it weighs extremely heavy, Charlotte.
Right.
I heard someone or read somewhere where it can be as much as a rail can be 900 pounds. That's a lot of money, If they're paying, and I don't know what the price of steel, railroad steel would be. But yeah, there could have been somebody making a mint out of this stuff, Charlotte.
Well, I'm sure they did. Now here, you know that Walt Helmick and a couple of other guys down there in Marlington bought all the railroad track, 60 feet of property that belonged to the B&O.
Walt Helmick did?
Well, yeah.
Did they buy the land or buy the track?
They bought the land, and I think it had the track on it.
Well, so regardless of that, they would have Helmick would have had to reported that to somebody, wouldn't he?
Well, no, he's Walt Helmick.
Well, I know, and I realize the exception for people who walk on water.
Right.
Huh.
But see, there's more things going on, and the higher-ups are the ones that get out of the trouble.
I know, that's the way it goes.
Okay, there's Walt Helmick. Did they do in fact, isn't he now commissioner of this whole state's Department of Agriculture?
Yep, he will be come January.
Okay, now look there what he did to the water up there
at House.
Yeah.
Well, see, Walt Helmick did all of the same stuff that they're accusing these guys of doing at Cass, except he wasn't dealing with railroad steel.
Right.
So he got away with it, and he got promoted for it.
Right. So did Kaplinger.
And yeah, Kaplinger got promoted.
Don't believe me, you drive down the pipe stem.
Yeah.
That is one beautiful place.
Yeah. Oh, I bet he's sick of what he did now. Why did we were already paying those guys an hourly wage?
Right.
Why didn't they just, if they were going to do, of course, why didn't they just have them write the check to the park? The deal is that it had the auction, and they knew it, so it was a way to avoid an auction.
Right.
Just the way Helmick pulled. Don't have an auction. just sell it out piece by piece.
Right.
Kaplinger was getting the credit for cleaning up the place, and he didn't care if somebody was making a ton of money on it.
And so was Bartell.
Yeah.
Okay, they, you know, yeah, but you know what? People down in Charleston would have had this knowing this. Do you
Right.
not understand that? Their bosses, whoever is in charge, would have had this knowing how, you know, what did they say about them? How did you get rid of the smokestack? How did you get rid of all this, you know, like they had cabs to the old trains used to be up there? Do you have any old pictures of up there around the old mill? Do you have
Yeah,
any
probably.
old-
Probably. I've got the old pictures of the museum type stuff. That was all, but and they have lots of pictures of the shays and so forth that were around. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but you know, like they used to have a whole lot of, you know, like I guess you would call it like the whole front of a train and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that stuff would absolutely weigh a pile of, wouldn't it?
Okay, yeah. Okay, now it doesn't exist up there anymore.
Yeah.
Who okayed them to get rid of it? And why didn't they see down in Charleston, well, what did they do with this
Yeah.
part?
That is
You
hard.
know, something that they paid, you know, like $100,000 for.
Yeah.
It looks like to me they would keep a check on it and find out what happened to it.
They should have been keeping inventory.
Right. Well, you know, Charleston, when they come up to buy the town of Cass, they would have taken tons of pictures.
Yeah.
Is that not something, Norman? I think that if you could prove, maybe you could talk to Michael.
Yeah.
And find out where in Maryland, the scrapyard, they took this stuff.
Yeah, I wish you would talk to me.
Castle.
I wish they'd talk to me. Yeah, we really do.
Rex Castle could, you know, better tell you, but, you know, they did have letters right from, you know, from them right over there at the office and stuff like that. Even Mary Snyder, do you know her?
Yeah, I know her.
Okay, she could tell you.
Yeah, she would know.
She's probably the one that typed it up.
Yeah, and she would have kept a copy of it.
Right. It would be on her computer, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Somebody's going to have to do some answering, you know that?
Yeah, but don't just start with the local people.
No, I agree with you.
Ladder.
I agree with you, and this goes at the top.
And who is that Robin Dolly that okayed all that stuff to be put in our landfill? That there wasn't, or did you check that out?
Well, of course, I've dealt with Robin Dolly up at Howell's Leather. He never seemed to see any problem up there. You know, he could always overlook things. So I guess he was the man to bring in to take care of Cass. You know?
Okay, but we know and can prove that if you can keep your disc,
Oh, yeah.
that all that stuff was down there.
We've got a record of it. We got pictures of it.
Okay.
And you and I both are witnesses to it.
Well, yeah. But the thing of it is, you know, why, like in Ed Raleigh, he had to be a part of this too. He had to okay that stuff be taken to our landfill.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He